can be a kind of task, right? So n number of things. It can be a CPU time, right? So any kind of thing can be considered against this. So in general, we'll have idea about this job scheduling, and in that job scheduling, how this queue can be applicable. That is what our point of discussion under the heading of this job scheduling. Okay, so first of all, we'll see what are the basics which are required for understanding overall concept of job scheduling, and then of course we will assign these concepts with our understanding of queue, so that you can able to match the working principle of queue against the asked application. It may be job scheduling or it may be the Josephus problem, right? So on this particular context, you have to consider these two applications. Okay, so try to have the match. The first match, we have basics of what is called as queue, and then after getting the basics of what is scheduling, you can match the context of working principle of queue with the help of its basic principles, and which can be assigned for job scheduling. Okay, so I will talk about CPU scheduling, right? Suppose this one, you can say one example where we can have the CPU which can be used. Okay, for example, in OS, if you have, if in case of OS, suppose a system is there. In the system, if you want to assign CPU to the particular processes, okay, we know in a computer system we have the basic three components. The first component is CPU, then the second component is input output devices, and third one is the memory, right? Now, as far as this CPU is concerned, if you want to execute some processes, okay, with the help of CPU, in that case, with the help of scheduling, we can assign CPU for different processes. Okay, in what way the CPU is assigned for different processes for its execution, that is different. And to understand those things, we must have idea about what is scheduling. Scheduling means making some kind of order, some sort of sequence, right? So we have to make one sequence. With those sequence, with the orders, can we able to execute the processes which are coming to the process CPU? Yes, we can, but the order in which the information will be getting, the processes will be getting to the CPU may different, right? And the way of execution of those processes from the CPU can be different, right? So here, take 2 points in consideration. First one is CPU executing something. Suppose that is one job. Instead of process, we can call it as job, right? And CPU is responsible for execution of that particular job. In terms of computer or in terms of operating system, the job is nothing but a process. Okay, and CPU is responsible for execution of some process, right? And that process execution can be done with the help of different techniques. Okay, and today we have to discuss all those techniques in detail. Okay, so getting my point. First of all, what is scheduling? Making a kind of order, making kind of sequence, making kind of uh, arrangements, right? Of what? For suppose jobs, and job means in other, in operating system terms, it can be a process. And if a process is there, how the process is executed by the CPU. Okay, we know CPU is responsible for execution of the different processes, but the way in which the processes will be fed to the CPU, and the way in which the CPU is responsible for execution of those processes, that may differ. And under the heading of scheduling, we'll discuss all those differentialities. Getting my point? Yes or no? Yes. Roll number 20. What is the basic behind studying this topic? Is that clear? Roll number 20. Getting my point? Yes or no? Please reply. Roll number 20. Roll number 3.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, one statement is written there. How OS to decide which several tasks to take off a queue. Okay. Suppose we are executing the several tasks. Okay, suppose OS is responsible for execution of the several tasks. Now, in which order, in which sequence those tasks should be given to the CPU, that that kind of decision will be taken by OS with the help of some basics of Q. Okay, so we are making some sort of, the OS is responsible for making some sort of order, some kind of sequence, and with those sequence the execution can be done, right? So basically what is scheduling? Deciding which threads are given access resources from moment to moment. Okay, so suppose if you want to execute, CPU wants to execute something, in that case it must require some data, and in what way the data will be considered for its execution, that way the idea is behind this CPU scheduling. Okay, we will talk more about what is scheduling. In that I have taken one example of CPU scheduling, that's it. Okay, so in which order the information will be given to the CPU, and in what order the execution can be done by the CPU, that we have to discuss, right? So there are some basic assumptions behind scheduling as far as CPU scheduling is concerned. Okay, and it is one of the research area, we can work on this particular area, but it is not of our current concern. We are now in, you are in second year, so don't go for the first line. It is just for, it is just for the basic understanding, right? So the first and foremost thing is, we are having so many processes, and those processes wants to execute by the processor or the CPU, and in that case the CPU is responsible for getting those processes in a sequence, and the way in which the execution is happening, that is different, right? So here check what is the important in scheduling algorithm. Okay, what is important as far as the scheduling is concerned? So first of all, the processes must be executed in less amount of time. Okay, that is the major concern. It should be executed properly, and another important thing that we need to consider it, the processes should be complete within the given, or it may be given in the specified time, it must finish its work, right? So against this execution, there are some few timings which are concerned with this particular discussion. The first type of timing is called as minimize response time. Response time is the first concern. Okay, then the second one is called as throughput. Okay, and the third one is fairness. So it is not that much. See, what is response time? By definition, it is the elapsed time to do an operation. In other words, operation can be considered as job. Suppose we have given some task, and you are executing those particular tasks in within certain time interval. That time interval is called as response time. Okay, so whatever time required for execution of the particular operation, particular job, that particular time is called as response time. So by definition, what is the response time? Elapsed time to do an operation or the job. Okay, suppose we are executing some program, and for that, suppose I want some installation of some software. Okay, and it will take some, suppose it takes 10 minutes, and for executing that particular program, writing program and its execution, it will require suppose another 10 minutes. In that case, response time is not 20, it is 10 minutes, because the previous time is not considered for its execution. Okay, so whatever job, what is the job? I have to execute one program, and that program is required 10 minutes for its execution. But for that execution, I need some installations, right? And all those installations will require suppose 10 minutes time. It is not included in the response time. Okay, so the time required to do a particular operation is called as response time. Okay, time. Then another one is the throughput. Okay, throughput means jobs per second. In terms of second, this can be considered, right? So the throughput is nothing but another kind of time interval, or the time which is responsible for execution of the particular job. In how many seconds the particular job is executed, that way the idea is given by the throughput. And two important thing is considered in this particular thing. Always we want the minimum response time and maximum throughput. The relation is inversely proportional to each other. If response time is less, throughput is high. If response time is more, in that case throughput is less. Getting my points? Yes? Yes or no? Try to concentrate on two terms, response time and throughput. Throughput is overall performance. Response time is the time required for execution of the particular job. And there is an inverse proportion between these two things. Response time is less, throughput is high. And response time is more, throughput is less. This is the relation. Okay? Is that clear? Yes, you can give your answer in chat window. Okay. Others, please say, are you agree on this particular context? Yes or no? Okay. 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 So with this, we have the first type of scheduling algorithm. Okay. Similar to this, we have seen the basic first type of queue. First in, first served basics. Okay. The first criteria which is mentioned here, that is first in, first served basics. Okay. So the first type of algorithm, in other words, this can be called as first in, first out. And we know queue. What is the basic role, basic principle of working of queue? Can you state in chat window? What is the basic principle of queue? Working principle of queue?
First in, first out.
Correct. So it is first in, first out, and same thing you can observe in the slide. Correct, correct, correct. So same thing you can observe here in this particular slide. Okay. So just okay, so whatever basics we have seen against Q, same basics are in front of you, right? So the first type of scheduling is called as first in, first out, or in other word, it's called as first come, first serve basic. Okay, okay, first come, first serve basic, first in, first out, right? So one who comes first will be served first. That is the first type of thing which is in front of you. So the FIFO algorithm, in other words, this is called as at the beginning, the Mint1 program runs non. So these are some basic terminologies which are associated with the operating system. Okay, and try to match our context of Q with the terminology of operating system. Okay, if you don't worry, right? So just try to get the concept and how the concept is there for the particular application. That is what the major concern of understanding of all this, right? So here in this particular thing, try to concentrate on this example, okay, where we are having three processes. In other words, this can be considered as three jobs, okay, and order is first job is P1, then P2, and then P3, and the burst time which is associated with this first process, suppose it is 24, the second one is 3, and third one is 3. So in all, the three processes, three jobs can be arrived to the process, to the CPU, and the CPU is responsible for execution of these processes or these jobs, okay, with the given time intervals. These are the given time intervals. With those time intervals, CPU is responsible for execution of those incoming processes. Okay, suppose process 1 is executing within 24 units, process 2 is executing in 3 units, and process 3 is executing in 3 units. So these numbers basically the time intervals required for execution of that particular process, right? And with the concepts of what is called as first come first serve basics, how these processes can be executed, that we will see. So in this particular thing, you try to concentrate on this Gantt chart. Okay, this diagram which is in front of you, this is one chart in front of you. The chart is called as Gantt chart. Okay, don't remember the name also, it is not required, just for understanding. Just one chart, one representation is there, which is consisting of execution of the particular processes with the help of timing intervals. Okay, so this way you can consider this representation. So we have three processes which are arriving to the process CPU in the order P1, P2, and P3. And for P1, the time interval required is 24 units. P2 requires 3 units, and P3 requires 3 units. Okay. Now, initially, there is nothing in the CPU. Okay. So first of all, it will ask first process, because the order is first process comes first, P1. Now, how much time is required for that particular process? 24 units. So from 0 to 24, the process P1 will be there in the CPU, will be in the execution mode. Okay. After that, which process comes? P2. After that, P2 is coming. So from 0 to 24, who is there? P1 is there. Okay. Then P2 will require how many time intervals? 3 intervals. 24. After 24, 25, 26, and 27. Up to 27, which is the next job, you can say job P2. After that, which is the next job? P3, because it requires 3 units of time, right? So in this particular chart, in all, how much time is required for execution of all these processes? We will calculate by means of some basic calculation. So first of all, we'll calculate the waiting time for each process. Process first waiting time is 0, because it immediately starts, because it is the first process. Yes or no? Then for P2, how much time it has to wait? 24 minutes. For P3, how much time it has to wait in the queue? 27 units. Okay. So for process 1, waiting time is 0. For process 2, waiting time is 24. For process 3, waiting time is 27. Now completion time. Completion time of first process P1 is 24 units. For second process, it is 27. And for third, it is 30. In all, if I want to calculate the average waiting time for all the processes will be waiting time of first process plus waiting time of second process plus waiting time of third process divided by total number of processes P1, P2, P3, that means 3. So 0 plus 24 plus 27 divided by 3, it is equal to 17. Then average completion time for this case is completion time for first process plus completion time for second process plus completion time for third process. So it is 24 plus 27 plus 30 divided by 3, it is equal to 27. Like this, we can get the average waiting time as well as average completion time for these processes. If I use the first type of scheduling algorithm, first in, first out. Okay, so we'll try to get the differences in the second type, third type. Okay, when we'll come to know the second type, the time will be reduced. Okay, average waiting time will be reduced, average completion time will be reduced. So we'll see. Up to this, it is clear. Any doubt in this? Yes, in chat window you can see. Is that clear? How these calculations are there? Okay. This first come first serve can be alternatively named as first in first out scheduling algorithm. Okay. Roll number 72. Do you have any problem in this? Okay. Now the next. Now see, can we improve this average waiting? We improve means waiting time should be less and completion time should be again less. Yes. Can we improve? Improvement against this particular thing means reduction in the time so that we can able to get more performance. Okay. See, the terms are reversely proportional to each other, inversely proportional to each other, right? Can we reduce this waiting time? Yes, we can reduce the waiting time. Can we reduce the total average completion time? Yes, we can able to reduce this completion time. In what way we'll discuss, right? So what will be the improvement against this particular algorithm? Reduction in the given timing. Okay, in terms of waiting time and in terms of completion time, if you able to reduce the given timing, that can be considered as an improvement against this particular thing. Okay, so in improvement of this particular thing, first served algorithm is reduction in the waiting time and reduction in the completion time, so that throughput will be more, that means performance will be more. Okay, so the next question comes in your mind, that is, can we improve this? Yes, we can improve this. Okay, the other method which is doing this particular thing is called as round robin scheduling. Okay, this is another thing, another type of this scheduling algorithm in which we are responsible for reducing the, just now we have calculated some timing, average waiting time, average completion time. Okay, can we able to reduce this particular time for the given processor itself? Yes, we can able to reduce this time. Okay, and alternative solution for this case is round robin scheduling. Okay, this is another scheme by means of which we can able to deal with. And keep in mind, just keep in mind, this is also implemented with the help of queue. Okay, so we have some basics against FCFS. It depends upon the given submitted order. If you are first in the line at the supermarket with milk, you don't care who is behind you on what other hand, right? So, just a minute. Okay, so the answer for this case is, okay, so one situation is given. If you are first in the supermarket with a milk, you don't care who behind you and other on the other hand. Okay, so this is general scenario. We are focusing on ourselves, not behind the queue, right? So the answer for this question is a round robin scheme. Each process gets small unit of CPU time. It is another word called as quantum. Okay, usually it is 10 to 100 milliseconds. After quantum expires, the process is preempted and added to end of the ready queue. This is very important. Okay, and one important thing is one term is in front of you. That term is called as preemptive preemption. What is preemption? Forcefully removing the particular process, particular job from the queue, and it will be added at the end. Okay, how it happens, we'll check. Just try to concentrate on basic terminologies which are associated with the round robin. First one is quantum time. Okay, so it is a small amount of time assigned for the particular process, right? After quantum expires, the process is preempted and added to the end of the ready queue. Suppose we have n processes in a ready queue and time quantum is given as q milliseconds. In that case, how it happens? Each process gets 1 by n of the CPU time in chunks of at most q milliseconds. What is the maximum wait time for each process? That we will calculate. Okay, so the algorithm is stated in two statements of round robin. First statement is, suppose we have n number of processes and we have given a time quantum q. How to match this particular example with our real time scenario? Okay, suppose you are in a group of 4. Okay, you have a group of 4 students and we have asked to give some presentation to you. Okay, and for that, suppose for each student we have given 10 minutes for presentation. Okay, so quantum is set 10 minutes for single student. Okay, and Suppose first student is prepared the presentation which is of 20 minutes. Second student prepared the presentation of 10 minutes. Third student prepared the presentation of 30 minutes. And last student prepared the presentation of suppose 10 minutes. So count is 10 plus 10, 20 plus 10 plus 30 plus 10. Okay, so it is 70, right? Total time required for presentation is 70. But from our side, how much time we have given for you? 40 minutes. In that case, what is the solution? If I go sequentially with the first case, first in, first out, in that case, how much time I will require for doing this particular thing? 70 minutes will be required. But we have how many minutes? 40 minutes. So in that case, what will be the other option? We'll try to cover all the four in within first 4 minutes, 40 minutes. And if time left, one who is not completed presentation will be given chance to execute the presentation afterwards. Yes? Getting my point? Yes or no? Please reply on this. Is that clear? Okay. Darvesh is saying yes. Okay. Purnesh is saying yes. Okay. 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 Ranjit. Okay. Now how? Okay. Okay. Now same thing we can visualize like this. We will take one example. Example is in front of you, right? Now check what happens in this particular context. Total time for execution of, suppose we have three processes, process 1, process 2, process 3, and here there is no consideration of the order in which the execution is considered, right? So example of round robin with time quantum 4. Okay, time quantum 4. Now time interval given is 4, and we have how many processes? 3 processes, process 1, process 2, and process 3. Burst time for process 1 is 24 units. Burst time of process 2 is 3, and for third process it is 3. So first of all, we'll start the first process. Name of that process P1. It will starts with 0, ends with 4, because we have given the quantum time as 4. And how many units required for execution of this particular process? 24 units. Okay, so up to 4 it is not finishing, still it is requiring 10 units to complete. But due to our criteria of setting the time quantum equal to 4, we can start other process within that same interval of process 1. Which process is executed? Next, process 2. How much time is required for execution of this process? 3 units. How much time is after that? See, the quantum left for this is 20. With below 20, any other process is there? Yes, we have another processes. That is third process. How much time is required? 3. So it will be taken into account and it will be executed first. After that, with the context of using 4 time quantum 4, the same process, that is process 1, will be continued till the end. Okay, so likewise we can able to get same. See, addition is 30 units only, but in what way the execution of these processes will happening different. Yes, are you getting this particular chart? In what way this chart is written? See, the first chart is different and this is different chart. Here the chart is 0 to 24, P1 is there, 0, P2, then P3. Now, in between P1, can we start P2? Yes, we can start P2. So that way, the representation is different for this second type. Getting the concepts? Yes. Are you getting the difference between these two charts? Yes or no? Please reply on this. Roll number 6 is there. Roll number 6. Take a minute, see this chart. Roll number 6 is there. Only one student I can see today absent. Roll number 6 is not there. Others are there. I will put the attendance. Just wait for 1 minute. Okay, so I think the difference is very much clear to you. Yes or no? Yes, roll number 15. Is that clear? Roll number 15. Please reply. Roll number 15. Kale. Roll number 23. Okay. Roll number 23. Paras. Roll number 23. Is that clear? Okay. Now in terms of timing, if I say, check the difference. This is exactly the meaning, right? So how many processes? We have 3 processes, P1, P2, P3. Now check waiting time for first process, P1. Same example I'm continuing. Okay, where I have represented the processes on the particular chart. Okay, and with those charts we can able to get the timing, right? So first process P1, then process P2, then process P3. Now for first process, what is the waiting time? Okay, so what is the waiting time? See in the chart, the starting point of initialization of that particular process. For first process, how much time interval is required? So how many times you can observe this particular process? Okay, first of all, it is starting with 0, and in second case, it starts with 10. Okay, so the process time elapsed for the first process, waiting time for the first process is 10 minus 4. It is 6 units. See, first process is ending with 4 and again starts with 10 units. 10 unit. Okay, so it is 10 minus 4. So it is 6. For second process, check when it starts. Second process. Process second is starting with the 4 minus 0, it is 4. Third process starts with 7 minus 0, it is 7. So waiting time for all these processes, P1 is 6, for P2 it is 4, for P3 it is 7. Okay, 2 times process P2 starts in this particular context. Okay, for first initialization of process P1, there is no time required. It starts with 0, ends with 4. Then it starts with unit number 10. Okay, so that's why 10 minus 4, it requires 6 units. Now completion time for first process, when process first is completed, you can see in the chart, it is ends with 30 units, 30 time interval. Then process 7 is ending at which time interval? 7 time interval. Then P3 it is at 10 time interval. So average waiting time for given processes, for P1 6, for P2 4, for P3 it is 7. 6 plus 4 plus 7 divided by 3, it is 5.67. Average completion time for all the processes, 30 for first process, 7 for second process, and 10 for third process. 30 plus 7 plus 10 divided by 3, it is 15.67. Okay. First of all, tell me whether it is clear. These calculations are clear? Yes or no? Give your answer in chat window. Okay. Bhushan is saying yes. Others, please reply. Do it fast. Okay. Now, the difference you can observe easily here. Now I will show the results of first case. Average waiting time for first type is 17 units. For first type, average completion time is 27 units. Now check the difference. Average waiting time for round robin is 5.67 and average completion time for round robin is 15.67. This is the difference. And what I said, one who is giving less time, that is more efficient. Now, what is your opinion? Who is efficient? Yes, which algorithm is best compared to these two? You can give your answer in chat window. Which algorithm is best in terms of performance? Less time, good performance. More time, bad performance. So round robin is having less time. That's why not P2. Purnesh, I am asking the algorithm. Which algorithm is best? Purnesh Joshi. Process, I am not asking process. I am asking the algorithm. Whether round robin or first first come first serve basics. Right. Get corrected. So
Yes, sir. RR.
yes. So this is the less time. 5.67. Previously it was 17 minutes. Is the difference. And completion time is 27. Now it is 15.67. You can try this. Take 4 processes. It is just for sake of more understanding. Okay. Another example is in front of you with quantum 20 and 4 processes. Process 1, process 2, process 3, process 4. Burst time for each process is 53, 8, 68, 24. You can do it afterwards. Take snapshot of this. Okay. And one more thing, in incoming examination, such type of problems will not be there. Okay. In the online examination, these problems will not be there. It is just for more understanding. Okay. Maybe at the end we will ask this. Okay. In the end same, this type of questions will be there. Okay. Just for getting more clarity against the scheduling, I am giving the examples. Okay. The mathematical things which I added in the particular discussion, so that the things will be more clear to you. Okay. So this is another example. You can try it your own. Okay. I will ask you to take a snapshot of this. Take snapshot of this particular thing and you can do it afterwards. By analogy of the previous example, this is our previous example. With the same context, you can go for this. It is just for a better understanding of the concept. Okay. Take snapshot of this. Yes, I will provide. Sanjit, I will provide. Just give me today. Okay, I will provide all this. Okay, I will provide today itself. I will create classroom. Okay, I was little bit with some other work. Okay, and due to that I am not able to do yesterday. But today definitely I will do and will pass this. Okay, don't worry. Mahajan, Rushikesh Mahajan is there. Rushikesh, I think is there. Roll number 6 is joined. Roll number 6. No, he is not joined. Still how many students I can observe here? Okay. Roll number 6 is not there. So I hope you will do this afterwards. Okay. We'll go for the next Yes. Somebody wants to tell something? Yes.
Sir, I am Pratham Mahajan.
Sorry. Prathamesh. Okay. It will take some time for remembering all these things. Okay. So just forgive me.
Yes, sir.
Prathamesh. Okay. So Prathamesh, are you there in the college today?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Not now, but I'll
Okay.
come later.
So wherever you will come, you meet me. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So the next type of scheduling is priority scheduling. See, these terms we have seen in queue. Yes or no? All these terms, first come, first priority, all these things are there with the queue already we have seen. So the third type of scheduling is priority scheduling. So as the names, we have basic idea about what is priority, right? So basically it is a number associated with the each process, and one who is having higher number will be served first. This way, the criteria is maintained for the priority scheduling. The CPU is allocated to the process with highest priority. Yes, and generally, see one important thing, which is maybe confusing you. That is smallest integer equal to highest priority. Okay, so in terms of hardwares, this particular criteria is maintained, where the smaller number indicates higher priority, right? Whereas value represents higher priority. So try to get the difference between these two things. The priority is decided by some sequence, and in that sequence the number is suppose less, in that case it is having higher priority. Okay, and if a number is having, if number is more, in that case it is having lower priority, right? And with those context you can see the details of priority scheduling, which comes in the two variations. The first term which is associated with the priority scheduling is primitive, and the other one is called as non-primitive. So basically, what is primitive? If a higher priority process enters, it receives the CPU immediately. Okay, and non-primitive means higher priority process must wait until current process finished. Then highest priority ready process is selected. So this way, you can see the variations of this priority scheduling, where in first case, if suppose higher priority process enters, CPU will be assigned for this. That means execution will be considered for the highest priority processes. And if it is not, in some cases, higher priority processes will be keep aside, and the current execution process will be finished first, and then of course the highest priority process will be considered for its execution. This way, there are two variations associated with the process of priority scheduling. Okay, and few more things are there in this particular slide, which are not that much. For this, we have seen the example in last lecture, where we have some numbers 1 to 9, and from that number we have seen the first priority. Suppose in this case, in this is one example. In this particular example, suppose priority is given for the third process. In that case, third process will be considered at the first place, and then the remaining processes will be considered. And with that, you can verify the differences for getting the time intervals for each processes. Okay, so basically it is depending upon the user for which process user is giving the higher priority. So there is no specific example for this case. Okay, here in this particular context you can observe, suppose this is one example. In this example, priority is given for the first process. Some cases priority will be given to the other process P2. In other cases, maybe priority given to the third process P3. In that case, the chart will change, and with respect to that change, you can get the respective time intervals, like waiting time for each process, completion time for each process, average waiting time for each process, and for the entire process, and average completion time for. So it is 100% depending upon the user. Okay, so for this we cannot give any specific example. That's why I not shown any example for the third type, that is priority scheduling, where the choice is with the user and some decided criteria. With that criteria, the execution of the processes will be taken into account. Okay, is that clear? Yes or no? Please reply on this. Anyone can say anything on this context. Okay, now the last thing which is mentioned in the syllabus is one problem. This completes the first application of queue, that is priority, the scheduling. Now the next thing which I will show, Now see the second problem which is associated with this context. Okay, Josephus problem is considered with the help of Q. Okay, so you can Google it, no issue. I don't have any objection on this. Okay, just for sake of continuity, I'm conducting this. So basically, it is the problem. Okay, this is the computer science and mathematical problem. Okay, where I'm reading the statement of this particular problem. Okay, so where theoretical problem related to certain counting out game. Okay, so here five see here live person is not. So basically the problem is this. Okay, the problem, given number of people, starting point, direction, and number of skipped, we have to choose the particular position in the initial circle to avoid the execution. Suppose we have one circle. In that circle we have kept some peoples, and adjacent people will kill each other, right? Adjacent people will kill each other. In that case we have to give a solution. Okay, solution in such a way that only one will be left in the given situation. Suppose we have 7 peoples who are adjacent to each other. Okay, and in that context, suppose the adjacent people will kill each other. In that case we have to find a particular combination in such a way that the only one person will be remaining in the entire given number of persons. So this is what the problem is. Okay, so we'll not go in detail of all this, right? So just keep in mind that it is one of the problem. Okay, you can Google it, just take it as your homework. Today itself you can go on internet, see what is the Joseph problem. N number of things will be available in front of you. Okay, try to get the information, okay, from any means, right? So basically it is not that much important as far as my the understanding is concerned, right? So just keep in mind the people, we have to skip person in such a way that the adjacent people will kill each other, and the thing is the last person will alive in the given context, right? So this is what the problem. I will not giving so much details, I know that, but I will left this particular problem for you for your study, right? It is just application, nothing else. So I think this much is sufficient for this unit number 3. Okay, and tomorrow we'll have revision of entire units, unit number 3. Okay, unit number 2 and unit number 1, so that you will be comfortable for the incoming examination which are there in the next week. Okay, so as far as today's is concerned, we'll stop here. I think you have the next lecture. We'll discuss more on the next incoming lecture. Okay.
सर पीडीएफ कब तक मिलेंगे सर इसके?
आज मिल जाएंगे, आज मिल जाएंगे, डोंट वरी।
आप क्लासरूम पे प्रोवाइड करोगे सर या
हाँ,
फिर
हाँ।
रिपोजिटरी बनाएगा?
नहीं नहीं, मैं अभी क्लासरूम पे ही करूंगा, आज ही करूंगा। आई वॉज बिजी इन सम अदर वर्क, टुडे विल डू। First of all, I have to check how much things are there on that. Today will send the information of unit number 3. Don't worry. Any other thing? Yes? If no, you can leave. No issue.
सर पाटिल सर का सर पहले से क्लासरूम बना हुआ है सर डीएसए का। सर आप
हाँ।
वहीं पे अगर करोगे सर नया नहीं
हाँ।
करना पड़ेगा।
हाँ ना, पाटिल सर आज आने वाले हैं, उनसे मैंने बात की है, तो पासवर्ड अगर मिल गया, नहीं तो नया क्रिएट कर देंगे, नो इश्यू, देखेंगे।
ओके सर।
विल डू इट टुडे ओनली, डोंट वरी।